Hi, welcome back to another episode of Figs Talks Fights. I'm your host, Brian Figueiredo, and today we're going to get into UFC Fight Night 169 taking place this Saturday, February 29th in Norfolk, Virginia. So let's get into it, all right? Main event is going to be your championship between the flyweights, Joseph Benavidez and Deiveson Figueiredo. Now that's Deiveson Figueiredo, not Figueiredo. I keep hearing broadcasters and everybody in the game saying Figueiredo. Look, my last name is Figueiredo, okay? I even called my father before making this video to make sure, Dad, look, you're actually born in Portugal, which is the language that the Brazilians speak. Is it Figueiredo? Am I questioning my own last name after 30 plus years? No, it's Figueiredo. Pronounce it right, okay? And if a Brazilian's telling you it's Figueiredo, look, incorrect, Figueiredo. Now let's move on with it. The Flyweight Championship fights. Can the flyweights get some fucking respect? Please. What? Okay, they're 125-pound guys. Why do I want to watch two little guys? Look, I don't know how many big guys that I've seen now. Look, I'm about 6 feet tall, 2 bills, all right? And I'm talking about big dudes, 6'2", 250 plus pounds. I've met quite a few of them in my life that tell me, I don't care about the flyweights. I could kick their ass, they're tiny little guys. Look, all you're gonna do is eat your chicken wings, your pizza, drink your beer while watching the fight. You ain't kicking nobody's ass, all right? There's literally, these guys can't even freaking sprint for 30 seconds and they're shitting on world-class athletes. The flyweight is one of the most technical divisions in the game, all right? Maybe bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight. I mean, these are more stacked divisions, but as far as technical prowess, you cannot beat the 125-pounders. Everyone says the heavyweight champion is the baddest man on the planet. Sure, as far as pound for pound size ranking in there, okay, they're the biggest badass in the planet, but no, okay? There's a reason why some heavyweights out there, Frank Mir back in the day, oh, he has hips like a lightweight. Why, if the heavyweights are the baddest in the planet, would you give them some sort of a compliment by saying they move like a lightweight? Because the smaller weight classes have far more technical prowess. They have better footwork, okay? They have better scrambles. They have better cardio. They have better conditioning mixed in with the cardio. These guys are just pure technical fighters. And guess what? The biggest pay-per-view star of all time. I don't know if you've heard of a guy named Floyd Money Mayweather. Whether you're a fan of him or not, it's irrelevant. Chances are you've seen one of his fights. You've walked away from it going, I don't want to watch that guy fight again. And then you bought his pay-per-view again 6 months later. He was a genius at it. Guess what? In boxing, he might have fought at 152, 147 pounds and, 4 pounds here or there because boxing has a weight class every 2 ounces. In real mixed martial arts, Floyd Mayweather would be cutting his ass down to 125 pounds. That's why you should be watching these guys, because they are some of the best fighters in the world. Now, Flyweight Championship on the docket, and is a vacant title on Saturday. It's not like the champion and the challenger coming in here. Both these guys are challenging for the vacant title. So let's do a brief history about the flyweight division. I could probably sum it up for you right here. Demetrius Johnson. That's the history of the flyweight division, okay? I was very fortunate to be in attendance at UFC 152 when the inaugural Flyweight Championship was on the line between, ironically, Joseph Benavidez and Demetrius Johnson. And going into that fight live, I thought Joey B was going to take this fight. Not going to happen. Demetrius Johnson was only showing a little part of what this guy was capable of. If you haven't heard of Demetrius Johnson, which I can't imagine you're stumbling upon my videos and not knowing who he is, dude, this guy was the greatest flyweight we're ever going to see. I do not see anybody in the future being able to put a record like Demetrius Johnson did. He had 11 title defenses in mixed martial arts. Oh my God, that's unheard of. 11 title defenses. beating Anderson Silva's record at 10, and even the great George St. Pierre only had 9 title defenses, okay? So Demetrious Johnson finally lost his title in August of 2018, okay, to Henry Cejudo in a split decision fight that I personally thought Demetrious Johnson had actually won. But Henry Cejudo got a couple of takedowns in there, all right? It was a close fight, and I think Demetrious Johnson was actually relieved when the scorecards revealed that Henry Cejudo won that fight, because now he's in one championship because the championship clause was now null and void. Let's back up a step here. If you were a fighter in a major MMA promotion, i.e. UFC or Bellator, they have what's called a championship clause, which means if you sign a 3-fight contract, a 4-fight contract, whatever the amount of fights are in your contract, you cannot go and shop the open market if you are a champion in their organization. Now, whether this is a good thing for the sport or for the fighters, look, that's a different topic for a different day, but that's how it works. So anyhow, Demetrious Johnson goes to the historic, or was part of the historic and once and only trade that I've ever heard of in mixed martial arts, which was one championship sent over Ben Askren, their welterweight champion, over to the UFC, and Demetrious Johnson is now the flyweight champion over in one championship. I actually think he's a bantamweight champion because they have a different whole weight cutting rule over there. They claim to have solved weight cutting, but I don't know. Have they? Is there any evidence to it? Different subject for a different day once again. So getting back to it, August of 2018, okay? Henry Cejudo is your first bantam or flyweight champion not named Demetrious Johnson since the inaugural fight happened in September of 2012. That's right, Demetrious Johnson had almost a 6-year reign as flyweight champion. So his first title defense, he's taking on then bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw, coming down to flyweight to challenge Henry Cejudo. Henry made quick work of him, knocking out TJ Dillashaw in like 40 seconds. It was under a minute, okay? And it was bad. People say the cut was too much for TJ. He didn't have his power, couldn't take punches, this, and that. Maybe, maybe not. Turns out TJ tested positive for EPO. So he gets ahead of the news and he relinquishes his bantamweight title. So, pardon me for the sniffles. I have a 2-year-old in daycare. I know I'm sniffing on all these freaking videos. I'm sorry. I got the daycare germs in my house, okay? So bear with me. I know it's gross. My apologies. Anyhow, getting back to the subject. So the bantamweight title was up for grabs, and it was Henry Cejudo who just took out the bantamweight championship, albeit at flyweight, versus Marlon Moraes. I thought Marlon was going to smoke Henry. I really did. That's what I thought was going to happen coming into this fight, which took place in June of 2019. But Henry Cejudo took a beating from Marlon in the first round, found a way to rally back and TKO Marlon in the third round, and he is now your double champ, the flyweight and the bantamweight champion. And he calls himself Triple C because he was also an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. Never been done before. Wow, congrats, Henry Cejudo. So after that fight, Henry goes to get shoulder surgery, and we're now into February of 2020. One of the titles he had to relinquish. Now, since he had a hard time making weight at 125 pounds because he missed it, I don't know, a gazillion times, okay? Probably 3. Sorry, I believe it was 3 times in total. But anyhow, he relinquishes your flyweight title, which brings us to the fight this weekend. So let's talk about it. Joseph Benavidez, Deiveson Figueiredo are going to fight this Saturday for the vacant title. Both these guys are excellent fighters. Joey B being 37 years old, which is almost a dinosaur. No disrespect to anyone 37. I'm aging there really quick. But for a flyweight, not the greatest age. You'd never tell watching him fight and seeing his movement. Deiveson Figueiredo being the junior of the two of them at 32 years old. So coming into this fight, Joseph Benavidez is riding a 3-fight win streak. Now, in Joey's entire career, okay, he's only really lost to a couple of guys named Dominic Cruz and Demetrius Johnson. And pretty much everybody that's fought either Dominic Cruz or Demetrius Johnson, all of them have lost. Except for Cody Garbrandt to Dominic Cruz and, pardon me, why is it going to escape? Brad Pickett. Brad Pickett handed Demetrius Johnson his first loss, okay? But anyhow, he's coming into this fight hot, taking out Alex Perez with a TKO a little over a year ago, then fighting Dustin Ortiz, and Dustin Ortiz was coming into that fight hot. He put everything into that camp. If you don't recall in the build-up to that fight, I mean, that was his championship moment to get a title shot, to beat Joseph Benavidez, and maybe even leapfrog Henry Cejudo at that time to get a title shot. Wasn't happening. Joey B put on Dustin Ortiz. And pardon me, he wouldn't have leapfrogged Henry Cejudo. He'd already won the title. Sorry, had a glip of brain fart. Moving on, okay? Joseph Benavidez' last fight that he had, he took on Jussier Formiga. Now, this was a tough fight. Formiga pretty much loses to nobody. And Joseph Benavidez finished him in the third round with a head kick and then finished him on the ground with punches. Holy shit. Joseph Benavidez looks like the young 25-year-old coming up in the WEC who's about to choke out Miguel Torres after losing his bantamweight title, okay? Go back in history, check those out. Love the WEC. Now, on to Figueiredo, okay? He's coming off a 2-fight win streak himself, all right? Not a 3-fight like Joseph Benavidez. Sorry, let me take a back step. Joseph Benavidez' only other loss outside of Demetrius Johnson and Dominic Cruz was to Sergio Pettis, okay? Go back and rewatch this fight. I thought Joe won the fight, okay? Not going to give too much of a cry about it. I was happy for Sergio that he could take that win from Joe, but personally, I thought Benavidez won it. But in the history books, it's Dominic Cruz, Demetrius Johnson, and Sergio Pettis who have wins over Joseph Benavidez. Back on to Figueiredo. So the only fight that Figueiredo has lost in the UFC was to Jussier Formiga. Ironically, the guy that Joseph Benavidez just put away last June, okay? Other than that, he's coming off a unanimous decision win over Alejandro Pantoja, okay? Hope I'm pronouncing his name right, with a unanimous decision. And recently, he just took out Tim Elliott with a guillotine choke in the second round. Tim Elliott? Holy shit, Tim Elliott was one of Demetrius Johnson's greatest challenges in his flyweight reign. And it was by a big surprise too. Tim Elliott's got great movement side to side, kind of a la Dominic Cruz. All right, even a little bit of TJ Dillashaw, keeping his hands low, coming up with the jab up top. Great scrambles, great wrestler, okay? Figueiredo put a statement on Tim Elliott. And Tim Elliott there's guys that tap, okay, you got me. Then there's guys that, I'm in serious trouble. Do not put me unconscious. Do not put the trachea right up to the back of my throat, okay? That guillotine was sick. So how do these guys match up? Look, it's really hard for me to go against Joseph Benavidez in any fight, okay? But Figueiredo is a buzzsaw. This guy comes to fight every time, giving 100%. He's got great technical boxing, okay? He's got power for a flyweight. He's got great scrambles. Obviously, he's got great submissions to be choking out Tim Elliott. But I mean, Joseph Benavidez, this guy has incredible work rate. An incredible work rate, okay? Putting guys away with guillotine chokes anytime they shoot on him. I mean, he came up from that Team Alpha male back in the mid to late 2000s where it didn't matter. If these guys just got a touch of your neck a little bit, they'd take those two arteries, clot them up, and you'd either be tapping or going unconscious. So Figueiredo, if he's going to shoot on Joseph Benavidez, he's got to shoot right to the back leg, make sure he lifts his head up nice and high out of there, getting his ear to the ribs and making sure that the shoulder's tucked away so that nobody, if Joseph Benavidez goes for that guillotine, it gets stopped right here, okay? Preferably be great if he did that and shot into side control. But I mean, this is just some idiot here sitting in a chair telling you this, not a high-level championship mixed martial artist. So we'll see how that goes. Joseph Benavidez, great technical boxing, great kickboxing. He's really light on his feet. He scrambles well, okay? This is going to be a hell of a fight, and nobody is talking about it. What a shame, okay? I don't like to make fight predictions. It's going to be hard to go against Joseph Benavidez. I would love to see somebody with the last name Figueiredo wearing the UFC strap, but Joseph Benavidez at 37 years old, he had his chance at the WEC bantamweight title, okay? And he had 2 shots against Demetrius Johnson to win the flyweight title. He came up short in all of those fights. If he can do this on Saturday night, man, slow clap to Joseph Benavidez. What a legend. With or without the title, this guy is somebody to salute and give your thumbs up to. So quickly, who else is on the card? Felicia Spencer is taking on Zara Ferran dos Santos, okay? I don't know much about Zara. The only fight that I saw her in was against Megan Anderson, okay? Which she made a competitive fight, but Megan put her away, all right? Felicia Spencer, she is coming off a loss to Cyborg, all right? Chris Cyborg last July, and she gave Cyborg a hell of a fight. That was Cyborg's last fight on her UFC contract before she made her way over to Bellator, and Cyborg was in a fight, okay? Putting her up against the fence, making Felicia Spencer work, okay? Personally, I think if Spencer wins this fight, look for her to be taking on Amanda Nunes next for Amanda Nunes's Featherweight Championship. Or Megan Anderson, speaking of her, giving Zara her first and only loss, is taking on Norma Dumont. All right? I have no idea who Norma Dumont is. I know she's 4-0. She's making her UFC debut. So we'll see where she stands. So other than that, it's Magomed Ankalaev, which I'm probably butchering his name. He's another one of these Dagestanian guys coming up, which are scary as shit, and he is fighting Jan Kutalaba, all right? Jan is coming from the Republic of Moldova, which is a part of what was Romania back in the day. And this guy is a fighter, okay? So this guy is fierce. He's vicious. He's mean. Magomed might have a fight on his hand, or Jan Kutalaba might find out what the hell Dagestan is all about. So thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. And come on, let's talk about the flyweights. This division got kept alive, all right? I'm sorry if you're one of these 250-pound plus guys who can't sprint for longer than 30 seconds and think you can kick a flyweight's ass. Guess what? Stick to the pizza. You won't do shit to these guys. They'll embarrass you, all right? So just start cheering them on instead, all right? Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and